All right, everybody, welcome back after spring break. I'm sure everybody's so happy to be back to school. Going to try something a little different today. We're going to go in a little bit of a different direction. We're going to go with a video that I make. And we'll see if maybe me going through the notes helps. And if it doesn't, we'll go back to the old way. You guys let me know after today, of course. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. But either way, we're going to go through the notes together, and then I'll go through the assignment that you guys have. And after that, I'll be posting this, in which you guys can then basically be using the assignment and the video as the attendance for today. There will be an attendance form, but we may be phasing that out as well, going in some other directions with that. So now let's get started, guys. It's about that time. So audio alert: if you've got the volume up really loud, you may want to turn it down a little bit. Sometimes that guy gets a little loud. But here we are. We've got notes here, pretty notes. Coach Hart, hi guys, good to see you. Now let's just go through it. We're going to start the next unit. Next unit's insurable risk. So we start talking about what risk is. And as you can see, obviously we don't got to really wait for anybody to copy as we go through these. You can kind of read them along as you're going through them with me. But risk, and what we're talking about is just that risk that you have, and basically the reason why we have insurance. There's a lot of different risks. There's a lot of different types of insurances. So we're going to get more into what some of those risks are today. So as you see, the first one, pure risk. That's actually kind of what we're going through right now with good old Corona. That is an act of God. That is one that is pure risk. There is no possible gain out of this. We are just going to be losing, and that is it. So things like pure risk, as you can see there are some other examples in the assignment that you have today. You will be asked for examples of some of these types of risks. Don't use the ones that are in this video or in the ones that are in the notes. You won't get credit for those. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But as you can see, the thing that makes pure risk, no chance of gain. So scroll down to the next ones. A speculative risk, speculative stocks, ones that can gain us money and can lose us money, and risk. Very similar, it can gain us or lose us. Things like finances, items, possessions, whatever they are. Those are the things that speculative risk can really do for us. And then there is a thing called hedging. Hedging in there is basically just, they say hedging your bets when you're in doing things like gambling, is basically betting on both sides. So that way you don't lose a ton of money in that, hoping that maybe your bigger payout wins. But when you're doing investments, you can do the same thing by investing in different sectors that may be kind of the yin and the yang in that sector. So things like green energy and natural fuels. Generally, if one is doing better, the other's not doing as well. So if you're going to invest in green energy, you may hedge your investments a little bit by investing in some natural fuels and natural burners that they've got there. So that way, if the green fuels and the green energy doesn't take on like you think it will, that means that the natural energy probably has. So that way you're at least gaining money, and you are going to be losing in that green investment that you're going with. Now, taking a look at the other types of risk here, economic risk, you can see going to get just basically based on the economic conditions that we've got there. Insurable risk, that's the big one that when it comes to insurance, the insurable risks are ones that we face as a whole. So not everything is an insurable risk. Not everything is an insurable or is something that you can have an insurable interest in. So things that may affect some people but not everybody, or not a large percentage of the population, would be things that are not insurable risks. There are a lot of very debilitating conditions that you can have, that are generally called those pre-existing conditions that people were very afraid about when Obamacare was coming around, of not being insured because you've already got this disease or this condition. Those would be some of those insurable risks that, if not a lot of people face them, they are not things that insurance generally is going to cover. So that's where that concept comes from. Now, I'm sure there may be some questions, so if there are, put them in the class comments that we've got. This is going to be the last set of slides that we've got here for the notes, and then we'll take a look at your assignment for today, and that'll be it. And then any questions, you can email me, or we may be doing the good old Twitch stream. We may do a live stream of a class, see if that works, see if anybody would want to do that. But we'll get there, guys. We'll progress. But with that, the last two slides we got here, they're insurable risks here, personal risk, the chance of loss involving your income and your standard of living. You can see the insurance is to protected life, health, disability insurance. You get disability if you are disabled to the point where you cannot work, and your loss of being able to earn your income, your ability to earn your income is not there anymore. So that is where disability is going to come in and be able to help you. Then your property risk is obviously damage to your property. Your home insurance, car insurance would be the ones that you would really use to cover those. And then the liability risk, that's the one where we talked about with liability insurance. When you have liability insurance on your car, that's for the damage that you do to other people. It would be the same concept here. You'd have insurance liability to protect your car from doing damage to something else or to somebody else. Now, those are the type of risks you will have to, like I said, give specific examples for a couple of those. And then when it talks about how claims would be made, when we look here for the property risk, if you have damage to your property, you would then file a claim to get that done. For some of those other insurance or those risks that we've talked about, they're not necessarily going to be something as simple as a property damage that we're looking at there. So if it's something, and if we want to, we'll get another, I hate giving you guys too many examples that you now can't use, but when we talked about the speculative risks, again, it doesn't have to be insurance. It can be, and with that assignment, it can be things like even just buying a stock or another asset. I won't even go into any other specifics, so that way you guys can have something to play with on your own. But the claim does not necessarily have to be an insurance claim. It can be how you would get your money. And in that case, selling the stock or selling the asset, whichever asset you want to decide that it is, because I don't want to give you too many more examples, will be the one that you can pick. Now, if we take a look at the business cycles here, these are the economic cycles and the cycles of business also that you can see. Hopefully your business doesn't go through too many of these, because then you're going up and down on a roller coaster. But you see the first one, the recovery, a period of growth. That's going to be after you've kind of hit a rock bottom or a trough, as we can see on the bottom. But basically your cycles are just going to go like a nice little roller coaster up and down, and you'll hit your peaks and your mountains, and you'll also hit the valleys down below. And we'll see the peak, like we talk about, when the economy is running at its top rate that I guess you can say that it can run at. But when the economy is doing as well as it possibly can, eventually economies do top out and then have to start going on a little bit of a decline. That recession, that R word that you hear so much in the economy circles, when you hear about recessions, it means things are going down. Things are going down to a bottom point eventually. Hopefully we get to that bottom point soon, because as you can see, you do hit a trough. You hit that period where the economy hits the rock bottom, and then things are as slow as they can go. We're pretty close to that right now. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily because of the economic cycle or obviously because of COVID, but we are hitting that rock bottom. So hopefully we'll be able to get a period of recovery coming out of this pretty well once we start to open back up. But that is it for the notes today. Let's slide on over to making sure we pull up the correct window here. And give me one sec as we switch over to the right window. There we go. So taking a look at your assignment for today, as it says, answer's got to be at least 3 sentences per question. Some of you guys are having a little fun with trying to make sentences, but again, just three sentences per question, not per everything the question asks. So specific examples for 3 of the risks outlined in the notes today and how insurance would be used in a claim for them. Again, it doesn't have to be an insurance claim. Most of these are going to be with insurance. Some are not. So we say that claim, that could also be how you would get your money or how you would get your recovery out of that. For number 2, an insurable interest is. We talked about that in the notes, what an insurable interest is, and talked about that insurable risk. That was another thing that was associated with that. So give an example of something that is not an insurable interest and why that's the case. Now, why that's the case should basically be the same for all of your answers. But that example, that may not necessarily be the same. Or I hope it's not going to be the same. Otherwise, we may not be getting a lot of points for that one. And then number 3, giving indicators to 2 of the 4 economic cycles. So all those 4 economic periods we just talked about. Indicators, you may have to do a little bit of searching for that one on the good old online Google. But with that being said, just giving some indicators for 2 of the 4 economic systems, and we'll even say give 2 indicators. There we go. You saw the live edit during the video. How about that? But getting the 2 indicators for those 2 of the 4 economic cycles, only got to do 2, do not have to do all 4. And then what you would want to do to either keep it. So obviously, if you're going to tell me about the peak, we want to keep it at the peak as long as we can. So what you can do to keep it at its peak, or if you're talking about a period of recession or in the trough, what do you want to do to kind of get the economy back on its feet? And then number 4, indicate what economic cycle you believe we are in right now and why you think that. That's going to be it. So that is it for class today, guys. Be on the lookout for the video tomorrow. Let me know what you think of this. And as you've seen on the bottom, if you like what you hear, please give me a like and a follow on Twitch and on Twitter. Got to do your own self-promotion all the time, guys. But with that being said, appreciate it. Hope everybody is staying safe, staying healthy. And obviously, don't do anything I wouldn't do, just like we always say. So with that being said, see you guys tomorrow.